This is why you can't stay focused. If you find trying or starting a new task rather than continuing on the one you've already started, this is for you. By the end of this video, you will have the knowledge and the action steps to pick back up or begin again the project that you once started. What I find so interesting is that most people keep all their strategies and all their plans up in their head, when our brain isn't designed to do that. Our brain is there for us to create the ideas and then for us to actually write it out. And that's probably why you haven't been able to focus on the task at hand, because you don't even know where you're probably going. You have to start with the end goal in mind. And you also need to build a management system around that to keep you accountable to that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's a system that I have worked on and drilled over many, many times to perfect it so that it works for me. So hopefully it'll work for you guys as well, and absolutely tweak it. It's not going to be a perfect custom thing for everyone, so you're going to have to tweak each one of these things. But I know this has tremendously helped me to stay focused on the task that I'm doing. The first question you have to ask yourself is, what do I want to see happen after month 1, after month 2, and after month 3? The more specific you are, the better it'll be. But don't worry about getting too specific here. I just want you to write exactly where you're trying to go, where you think you want to go with it. So after you've written month 1, month 2, and month 3 of where you want to be at the end of each month, the second question you have to ask yourself is, what system do I need to build in order to sustain this pace? For me, what I did to get started on the podcast and really make sure that I could put one out each week was that I dedicated certain days throughout the week and was very protective of those days. If something came up, I would either then have to choose to be protective over that day or then shift it to another day. But here's the thing. It's important to build a consistent routine. So what I had to do was say no. And that's one of the hardest things for me to say. So you have to get comfortable with saying no to even good opportunities so you can stay focused on the task at hand. And actually, I was just looking back through my notes and I could tell that when I went back to revise it the next day, I wrote like 3 or 4 more bullet pointed things that I was like, oh, I didn't think of this. I thought that this was step number 1 for me to start working on the podcast. Actually, that was like step 4. And there's actually these 3 other steps that I need to put before I can actually start on it. So I think it's so important for you to write out and get out of your head, what are you trying to do? Start planning it out, because you'll find that you'll write down a step or what you need to do and it'll be like step 5 or 6. And you're like, wait a second, I have all these other steps that I need to write so that I can get started on it. And the last question you need to ask yourself is, how is this system going to fail? I kind of already alluded to it, but for me, I found that if I wasn't protective over those days, nothing got done. I also found that if I didn't book the guests weeks and weeks in advance and really lock in those dates, I was the week of scrambling around trying to find someone to fill in for that day. So then I built a system around that. What happens if a guest cancels on me last minute? What do I do? And so I wrote down 3 different things, 3 different options that I have if that were to happen. Another thing that I wrote down that was going to prohibit me from making this plan successful was if I chose to scroll social media instead of working on my own strategy. And if I don't maintain a healthy sleep pattern, getting at least 8 hours of sleep every single night. I know that plays a big portion into me having the right energy to be able to do all this. A mindset that's really helped me is to think of work like training. You go to the gym, you work on certain muscle groups, and you build that muscle memory. And then I found that by me creating systems so that I can stay consistent, it helps me to also build a tolerance to be able to stay consistent with the amount of work I can take on. And then it slowly increases because I'm building a tolerance for how much work and capacity I can take on. And remember this, repetition breeds quality over time. Don't be stressed about making everything look perfect right off the bat, especially if you're just getting started, because that will hold you back from actually putting out something, because you'll be worried about the quality of it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you got value out of it, and you now can walk away from this video having action steps that you can turn off YouTube, you can actually execute on what you want to do. But if this still seems confusing, I'd love to jump on a Zoom call with you. You can DM me at LukeFlex on Instagram, and I'll set up a Zoom call and we can talk about it, and I can help you finally get started or pick back up whatever you were working on before. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Go get it. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, I bet you'll like this one too. Or consider joining the club and subscribing. Peace.